Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Metal Brain Podcast. This is episode 2, and this time, like I talked about in the first episode, I have a guest, someone I know, I've known for quite a few years, and if you came here to this podcast from my YouTube channel, or maybe if you've known me some other way, you'll know this guy from my YouTube channel. He's been on a couple things in the past. I don't think anything recent, but Jaws, when I did the Jaws metal cover, I think you're playing drums on that. A couple other things, and you know, he's a cool guy, but I'll let him introduce himself. So go ahead, take the floor.
Yeah, so my name's Daniel. I've been drumming for probably 18 years now. I met Virgil through his brother. When we used to hang out and go to birthday parties, I would go over his house and he'd be jamming along to some like Megadeth or Iron Maiden in his room. And I'd be like, I know that, so I'm gonna go see what he's up to. And I'd always just randomly bug him. I don't know if you felt weird about it, but
no, I think, you know, I think we've maybe talked about that before on that old bullshit of a podcast that I did, Sinister Cast, a long time ago. It didn't really even count, but I think we talked about that because I remember, because obviously I guess not to people who are listening, but it's not obvious, but you're younger than I am by a couple of years. And so when my brother would have you and your brother come over or whoever, I would be just practicing in my room, and I have very faint memories of that where I think you and your brother both sometimes would come in. I don't think it was always just you, but it was always one of you at a time. It was never both. And I'm just sitting there playing, and there's just this kid just sitting there watching me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't weird. You're here for my brother, you know, it's whatever. But you know, and then we got to know each other better, and so it's like that's when we started.
Yeah, because for some reason, like. So we've known each other for probably like 3 years before high school, like seeing each other on and off whenever we'd come over your house. But you didn't really know I was like a drummer until like I probably joined high school and went in the marching band.
Yep.
Because then I tried out for tenors and you were like, you play a kit, right? And I was like, yeah. And you were like, hop on that little 4-piece jazz kit we got there and show me what you can do.
Yeah.
And then I did it, and the rest is history. We probably started hanging out like a couple days after that.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah, it was really quick because I remember we were doing the drumline tryouts, like you said, you were trying out for tenors, and then I don't know if you said something that you played kit, or maybe I heard it through Robert, which is my brother, or if I seen you maybe do it. Maybe I had seen you play. Did you ever do drums with the orchestra for anything?
Yeah, when I did the collage concert in 8th grade.
So maybe I might have seen you do that. And then, yeah, I was like, oh, hop on this shitty 4-piece jazz kit and just kind of show me what you can do. And you're playing some stuff and talking about Green Day and Avenged Sevenfold and all your favorite bands at that time. And I was like,
yeah, probably just like, ugh.
No, I mean, no, because I like Green Day. I mean, I'm not like a die-hard Green Day fan, but like, I appreciate Green Day. They're really good. Avenged Sevenfold, I like them too. Again, I'm not like a die-hard fan, but I can admit that they're really good. I like them. But then,
I'm seeing Green Day in August.
Really?
Yeah, with Fall Out Boy, Weezer, and then some other ska band.
See, it's gonna be weird for me wanting to get back into going to concerts and shit. That's gonna be a weird place because the whole pandemic thing made me so like what's like agoraphobic. Is that the right term? Like
really?
a fear of being around people, or is that xenophobic? Yeah. What's agoraphobic?
No, xenophobic is when you hate Jews, I think.
No, it's not. No, it is not. There's no way.
Is it not?
No, xenophobia is dislike. Oh, you know what? You're right. Well, Okay, so not xenophobic. I must have had those confused for so long. I don't know why.
I think agoraphobic is the fear of clowns
Fear
or
of places. No, agoraphobia is a fear of places and situations that might cause panic, helplessness, or embarrassment. It's an anxiety disorder that often develops after one or more panic attacks. So it's not clinical or anything, but it's just like the fear of being. What's the fear of?
in like crowded places.
What's the fear of being around people?
According to
Anthropophobia.
sometimes also spelled anthrophobia, is
I don't know. Just
Like,
being in crowds.
Like a couple people or crowds?
Crowds. Like,
Okay. I get that too. Like, I remember my friend, it was like right when stuff started to open back up, and we went to Ann Arbor, and we went downtown, and there was just people walking everywhere, like, a normal day, and I was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like something could happen at any moment. At any moment.
It wasn't the fear that like, oh, there's gonna be a riot. Oh, there's gonna be like hysteria. Like it's nothing with that. It's just the whole thing with this pandemic is that you're dependent for the most part on the actions of other people to keep you safe. Because the masks and that whole thing, the whole point of the mask isn't to protect yourself, it's to protect other people from you. So you have all these people that don't want to wear them or anything, then it's like, whether I have one or not, I'm pretty helpless. Because if I'm stuck in a crowd of people and they're all not wearing anything and I'm kind of fucked either way. Now, I may or may not get something. That's besides the point. But it's just that idea that it's out of my control.
Oh, so I know what you mean.
So it made me really fearful and cautious. Like, even family gatherings, like people who had birthdays. I had a birthday like a month ago. I didn't really do shit for it. Like, there's people there. My family were. Some of them were trying to get together in big groups and in small spaces and shit. And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm sorry if I sound like an asshole. I just don't want to do that. Like, I'm not comfortable doing that. And it just. It became. It's still a problem. I mean, it's getting better, but like, when it hit really hard, I thought COVID was going to be a joke for the most part. Like everybody thought, I think, in the beginning. Even before it hit really hard in like February, March last year, there was a couple months before that when word was coming out of it at first that people were like, it's not going to be anything. And then it became what it was. It just, we've never lived in our lifetime through something this massive in terms of like a disease. And so it was like, it hit a lot of people. It like blindsided them, and it cost me my job. It screwed up my last semester at college, and it made it a million times more stressful. And then it just fucked everybody over. It was just, I mean, it was a terrible situation, but everybody knows that. But
yeah. I don't know. I can't wait to get back and start punching people in face again.
That's like, I told you, Kaylee and I had tickets. Kaylee is my girlfriend. We had tickets to see Devin Townsend and Haken at, I don't remember where. I think it's called the Crowfoot. I think is where it was. Smaller venue. And the day before the concert, it got canceled because of COVID. And then I was able to land tickets for Tool. And then that got canceled. So I was like, damn, like I was ready for concerts. And then
did it get canceled or rescheduled?
No, like Tool got I'm pretty sure they both did. Tool definitely got canceled. I got a refund for the tickets. The Devin Townsend stuff, like he's been doing his live streams and shit, and he's talked about how he's trying to set up that same tour that got canceled because it was kind of the first start of a tour before everything got canceled. So he's trying to restart it with all the same places and stuff.
Is it like a tour, like to promote an album, or was it just a tour
Empath? It's called Empath. Yeah, Volume 1 or something. It was a album tour, but it was crazy. But long tangent back to like.
I'm
us-
also going to Incarceration,
Oh,
which
really?
is do you know what that is?
I've heard of them.
It's a tattoo / metal festival. It's like 3 days. It's in Mansfield, Ohio, at the Ohio State Reformatory,
Yeah. When's that?
and it's September 10th through the 12th.
Oh, there you go.
I get to see. My gosh, let me pull up this roster of amazing.
I mean,
artists.
I've yet to go to like a legit festival. I've been to
Yeah, me
concerts that
neither.
have. I've been to
excited.
concerts that have had like, I think the biggest, or not biggest in terms of popularity, but like the largest quantity of bands in a concert that I've ever been to is when I saw Megadeth for the second time, because it was the guy from Disturbed had his side project. There was, I saw Newstead when they were first starting out with their shit. Megadeth, Black Label Society, Hell Yeah, and one other band. I don't remember who it was, but there was like 6 bands. It was at DTE.
It wasn't Ghost. It wasn't Ghost.
No, I saw Ghost before they really took off, and I saw them with Opeth and Mastodon.
Oh, okay.
That was a great concert. Great
All right.
concert.
So speaking of Mastodon, so I'll read off the bands here.
Oh yeah,
This is-
let me preface. So like the whole point of this episode today, and it's not like gonna envelop the entire conversation, because obviously we've already kind of gone in different directions. But the main topic and the idea that I had to start off conversation with this episode is to list like our top 5 albums at this moment, not like top 5 of all time, but like top 5 albums right now that we've been really just jamming to. So I mean, if you want to start off, mine aren't really necessarily in any specific order. Like, oh, this is number 1. They're just a list of 5.
Yeah.
So if you want to start, go for it.
Yeah. I was gonna start off reading you the bands from Incarceration real quick.
Oh yeah.
So Friday, the headliner. I'm just gonna read off the ones I know, because a lot of these I don't know. But anyways, Friday, the headliner is Slipknot, with Mastodon, Killswitch Engage, Steel Panther, The Who, Ice Nine Kills, Bad Flower, Spite, then other bands that I don't know. Saturday, headliner is Mudvayne for some reason, and
Bang.
with the day to remember, Chevelle,
Ooh,
Asking
Chevelle.
Alexandra, Pop Evil, August Burns Red,
Yeah, I've seen
Crown
Pop
the
Evil.
Empire.
Chevelle would be cool. They're like Tool, basically.
Yeah, I like Chevelle. Pop Evil, they're kind of like, I think they're
I've
from
seen 'em.
Michigan, right?
I've seen them. I went with Kaylee and her family to see Disturbed, and they opened up for Disturbed at.
Were they all right?
They're in Van Andel and Grand Rapids. Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember. They weren't memorable or anything to me. I think it's in that realm of new metal-ish area that I avoid.
Like, it's like a stadium metal that everyone does nowadays.
Yeah, so
But-
you know.
Oh, and then favorite of Kaylee, Sunday, Rob Zombie is headlining.
Yeah. I've
Then
seen
we
him
got-
twice, not intentionally. I saw him with Megadeth the first time I saw Megadeth, and then when that same Disturbed concert, he was co-headlining with them.
I can't wait to see some 3-foot alien dicks.
That's a band.
No, didn't he have like
Oh,
aliens on
I
stage?
thought that's a perfect name for a band. We need to make that now. 3-foot alien dicks. That's like perfect. That's like Alien Ant Farm. Like, no,
PFAD.
he had, when I saw him, and this is no diss on Rob Zombie, because I think I preferred White Zombie, and I think some of the stuff that he does on his own is cool. He's got a couple good hits and everything. It's not my thing, but I appreciate it. He's a good musician.
I'm gonna say like he doesn't sound very good live.
No. He sounded good live, but it's just like his style isn't my thing, so I wasn't really
Oh yeah.
enjoying it most of the time. But like so I saw him with Megadeth, and that was a long time ago. And then I saw him with Disturbed with Kaylee's family. Like those are probably 5 years apart, if not more. His show was exactly the same. down to a T, exactly the same. Like 5 years later, to the
He
point
also-
where he, at one part in the show, I don't know if the set list was the same. I'm sure it changed up a little bit, but just like the way it proceeded itself, because there was a point where I remember at the concert the second time with Kaylee and her family with Disturbed, when Rob Zombie came on, I was like, yeah, when I saw him with Megadeth, he like walked off stage and walked through the crowd on the general floor and came up into the side seats and stuff. I mean, when I saw him with Megadeth, I could have reached out and touched his shoulder because he came up right into the seats where my dad and I were sitting. And he did the exact same thing with the Disturbed concert. I mean, it looked like the same exact path and everything. Like yeah. But
I mean, when you rehearse so many times, you're like,
5-6 years later, though,
yeah, that's insane.
I mean, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but it was just something I kind of noticed, and I was like, huh, that's really weird.
He
But-
also doesn't like consistently put out music.
He
I know he just came out with some singles, but
the thing he had on there that I most remember with, like, when you were talking about the 3-foot alien dicks, was just hentai.
Mm.
It's just like straight up hentai up on the big monitors and shit on stage. And I was like, oh, okay. That's really, I guess, okay, whatever. I mean, like, there are people walking around with shirts that said, give me head until I'm dead. Like, okay, I mean, I guess that's part of the
little cult he's got going on.
yeah, that culture. But whatever. It's his thing. It's cool. He's got his thing. That's cool. But it was just really kind of, I was young when I saw Megadeth for the first time. It was probably like almost 10 years ago. So I was only like 12, 13. I mean, I'm 24 now, but I was probably like 13 when I saw that concert. Because I was,
you broke off from your dad and like went into a pit,
yes,
right?
and I will love my dad forever for this decision, because it was at a place called the Deltaplex, and it's basically a basketball stadium. And so what they do is they remove the basketball floor. It comes out, and then it's like a concrete floor underneath. But it's also got like the seating on the sides, right? Like an arena seating.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 2 seated tickets. And we got there, and I was like, damn, because this is when my peak of just Megadeth obsessed. And I was like, damn. It's like, I wish I could go up, because it was like general admission on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy who was outside the concert, like every fucking concert. I got these extra tickets. And so my dad either bought the ticket or he traded him. I can't remember. But he got just me, a floor ticket. So I could go to the floor and the seats. And I was like, what? And so my dad sat up in the seats, and I sat with him for like Rob Zombie and Lacuna Coil, who was there. And then when Megadeth came out, I went down on the floor right in front of the stage. Like, and I there's a picture on my Facebook that I got of Dave Mustaine sitting there with the purple background, and he's got his white like floofy shirt on and everything, playing his guitar. Like, and oh yeah, it was peak Megadeth obsession. It was great. Yeah, it was awesome. But I was also like 12 or 13, so
Yeah.
that could be dangerous. But it was cool.
Yeah, I was 15 when I saw my first metal concert, and it was at the Loft.
Oh yeah.
And
Didn't that just close
and-
down?
it did.
Yeah.
But it was Every Time I Die with Wage War and this band called 68, like the year 68,
Right.
which are like it was a 2-piece band, and they're like a weird like hardcore / like pop alternate. I don't even know. It was weird.
Like Limp Bizkit?
No. It was like if it was a weird sound, but it wasn't bad. It just like they were the openers, so everyone was just kind of sitting there like watching them.
Right.
And then Wage War came out, and I was there with my cousin Michael, who this was also his first concert. And well, it wasn't my first concert, it was my first metal concert. But yeah, I just remember Wage War coming out. I'm like, all right, dude, like we're gonna start a pit. It's like, Wage War is insane. And then, yeah, dude, that was the final stop of the tour, and I remember every time I die on stage, they were just like, I mean, I guess everyone was there to see them because like there wasn't a single person not moving. I mean, it's a small place; it only
Yeah.
holds 400 or 500 people,
Right.
maybe.
It's pretty
But
cramped.
like,
And it's
but like,
upstairs.
yeah, but literally everyone was just like moshing. It was insane. They were like, "This is the craziest concert we've ever played."
See, my first, I guess you would call it metal concert, and it was like my first concert in the heavier music stuff, was Alice Cooper and Tesla. Tesla opened up for Alice Cooper, and they're kind of like that 80s hair metal style music. So, and that was a long time ago too. God, I'm so old. I'm realizing my age.
I guess I could start naming off these albums.
Yeah, no, I see. When you were talking about Mastodon, I thought you were like, oh, speaking of, I got an album of Mastodon. And I'm like, no. That's why I said, let me preface with what we're doing. And then you're like, oh, it's a concert. I'm like, oh, now I feel like an asshole. But, yeah, sure, go ahead, start.
Yeah, so to start off the list is a non-metal band, but it's the only not metal band I have on the list. Well, technically. They're more of like a pop punk, like new age pop punk, I guess, sounding stuff. It's a band called In Her Own Words. And the album is Steady Glow. I don't know, it's just one of those albums. It came out in 2019, but it was just one of those albums that maybe had one song that I didn't care for on it.
Right.
Like all the other songs, I was like, I don't know, it just caught my ear. It was very catchy. They're very good at choosing their melodies, and like, you know how like newer bands that come out, when they'll write like a chorus, sometimes you're just like, I don't know if that fits very well with the song.
Right.
It just seemed like their songwriting is very like tight, like everything fits where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because you get those songs that are like, you can kind of tell if you make your own music, you could catch it easier, but like you can tell they came up with the verse and bridge and stuff separately from the chorus, and they're like, oh, I guess we'll just slap them together, put them in the same key and slap them together. Maybe they'll work. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get what you mean.
But yeah, that's been I've been listening to it for about like a year and a half now. Not like every day, but it's one of those things that I just keep coming back to. It's a good jam.
Is it like a gym playlist type of
No,
album?
it's more like just driving in your car. Like, it's also a fun song to play on, or a fun album to play on drums. It brings me back to my Green Day years when I was very into punk playing drums.
Boot cat.
All right, so I guess the next album I got is
let's do one by one. Like you do one now, me, then you do that. So my first one, and I guess kind of mine are in somewhat of a hierarchical order, and I'm starting with like the lowest, I guess. I said they weren't really any order, but they kind of are in a way. But this is going to be no surprise. But the soundtrack from Doom 2016.
Ooh.
I find myself coming back to it so much in the car, or when I'm working out, or when I'm just sitting around. I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking listen to some heavy shit. And it just fucking BFG Division on repeat. Like, Mick Gordon. Good God. If I ever get to a point where I can bring him on here, holy shit, dude. He's a fascinating guy in the way that he made that soundtrack.
Yeah.
Have you seen like some of the behind the scenes shit on how he...
I have not.
You gotta look it up, dude. Because obviously it's a mix of like electronic and metal, right?
Yeah, he reminds me of... Well, this guy reminds me of Mick Gordon, I should say, because Mick Gordon's been doing it for years now.
Yeah.
But There's a guy that one of my friends suggested to me because he was like, "Oh, you like metal, right?" And and the guy who I'm friends with from work, he's like almost purely into like anything like electronic music, so like dubstep, house music, like lo-fi, like anything.
Synthwave.
Yep. And so, but when I first started talking to him, he was like almost purely listening to dubstep, and he was like, "Oh, I know this guy you should check out. His name is like Sullivan King, and he's like a metalhead who makes dubstep music, and it surprisingly like meshes together very well. Well, actually, unsurprisingly, because metal can pretty much mesh anything together almost."
Is that the same kind of idea of how like wasn't Skrillex like I'm a metalhead and he was making all sorts of like dubstep shit, or was he just kind of that was the look and that's why he
I think it was the look. Well, I mean, dubstep in itself is almost like kind of like influenced by metal because I mean, like a metal breakdown would almost be similar to like when the beat drops in a dubstep
Right.
song.
a lot of songs have a drop. That's good music.
Yep.
Anything has a drop.
And but no, Sullivan King's more like he actually will use electric guitar and like drums in his songs. It's pretty sweet.
It's like
It's just him though. He doesn't have a band.
well, I think that's what Mick Gordon did too. That's just him.
Yeah. I
I-
remember he played live at what was it? Like
One of the Game Con
or-
things.
and like he played with Luke Holland, that YouTube, the guy from YouTube,
Right.
the drum.
Right. Yeah. That was he. It was a convention that he was at too, and he was talking about behind the scenes of how he made the album, right?
Yeah,
and it
he-
was
and he
like
played the soundtrack.
it. I know that I follow a couple people that are more like electronic hip hop musicians on YouTube and stuff because you kind of have to be able to dip in all sorts of different pots, right? And
Mhm.
like, you ever heard of Andrew Wong or know who he is?
So yeah.
He's pretty big, like electronic
right?
YouTube guy who makes electronic music, and
Yeah, I think I found him from a Rob Scallon video.
yes, yep, they've worked together. But he's always had these weird, like crazy things with different. I don't know what you would call them, but they're just machines where you can plug into this port and then this one, or this one into
Yeah,
this
those
one.
are God, what is that called? Something to do with like frequencies and
Yeah, it just messes with like sine waves and square waves and makes all sorts of different sounds and electronic.
I think they're just like modules, like wave modules.
Well,
sound
yeah,
modules
but
right
it's just
there.
the way that like you can do all these different combinations with these
No, I- yeah, I was
daisy
just
chain
trying to say,
plugs.
I think like the name is just something simple like that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it's like anything
But-
specific, but
Mick Gordon had a bunch of audio equipment like that, right? All these like wave machines and shit like that, all tied together, and then somehow it would loop back into his system with his pedal signal chain for his guitar. You have like an octave pedal with a fuzz pedal and an overdrive, and then a distortion into this and this and this, and then he would do this and then this, and it was just like his signal chain was just so many different things to get these crazy sounds. And I'm
how
like,
did
dude.
nothing go wrong?
Well, it's like I'm sure it did, but it's just like it made some of the cool sounds, and obviously, like what I really appreciate with people like that who do the electronic shit like that is like they can take any kind of sound and figure out how to use it in musically.
Mhm.
You know, it could just be like a, but they could figure out where to put that at like a build up or somehow use it as like a shaker or like whatever. Just the way that the resourcefulness of all these
Well,
random
not
sounds.
only that, but like, you can even use those machines as kind of like a EQ. And
Yeah.
You can like turn a sound. Like you could be playing guitar and you can make it sound like a trumpet almost if you do it right.
Yeah, and plus, he was using like 8 strings for that album too.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and that's 8 strings are fun, but they're they've gotten kind of they get kind of shit on because it became such a cliche, kind of overdone thing in
Yeah,
the
it's
metal
like-
world, and it still is.
Yeah.
But
Almost every band uses a
every band
8
became,
string or 7 string at least.
they all became gent. That's I think because I have an 8 string, 7 strings I think are going to be my home. I'll always have like a 7 string. 8 strings are nice to have. I'll probably have a couple more. But like, there's people that with like 9 strings and shit. Oh, it's so edgy. It's so low. I think 8 string is my limit. Like, I think it'd be cool to have a 9 string or something just to have
You
it.
really
But
okay? So
I wouldn't really use it, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. As someone who listens to like a lot of that like core slash like gent music, like I will tell you right now that there is only one band that can pull off a 9 string sound that I know,
I doubt it.
and it's a mirror, but that's just because the guitar player Josh Turner.
Is it uptuned?
No, he just he has a lot of effects as well that he
Oh.
can do with guitar. But other than that, it's just like it's just so low you can't you
It's
could
gimmicky.
be doing this on the fretboard and you wouldn't even know that you're playing different notes.
Well, that's like, and I can talk about it more later because this album's on my list, but like, there's some songs that I'm learning that are 8 string, but they're drop E on an 8 string. And that's like, that's pushing it, man. Like I the stuff that I'm writing with my 8 string is in standard 8 string tuning, F sharp, B, E, the rest down. The drop E shit, it's like, you have to use it in a specific way where it's like you sprinkle in that last 8th string every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. You
And
can't like
because
have that be your
main thing.
pedal,
Yeah, because it's muddy and it's hard to discern the difference in notes.
That's another thing. It's so hard to find a guitar tone for those heavy strings that make it sound like legible.
Well, because you have to basically take out a lot of bass and boost up the mids crazy high. And that's the sound these days. Is like, it used to be a scooped sound, You turn your mids down and you turn up, it's a scooped sound. But now it's the
Then you got that
opposite.
chunk, chunk, chunk.
Well, it's the opposite now.
Yeah.
It's the reverse of a scoop, basically. It's like mid forward, which sounds good. It's punchy, but like, that's how you got to get that shit. And it's hard. It's hard. Like I spent all these years trying to learn how to mix and record my guitars as like 6 strings, and then I got into the 7 and 8 strings pretty close to each other, and now it's like a whole different world trying to mix that shit because it's so different to get it to sound good. But
Speaking of 8 strings, actually, never mind. I was gonna do that.
what's your next one anyway? What's your next?
The next one I was gonna kind of lump together with the other one because it's not really a metal album, but it has its influences. It's a band called Bill Murray, but it's spelled Bilmuri, and and it's an album called Eggy Pocket.
What the? Where do you find this shit?
I literally, Jared Alonji.
No, who's that?
He's kind of like a music YouTuber, not like a musician, but actually he is because he released albums. He makes like not parody music, but like satire music.
Okay.
But like whole albums of it. He's actually a really good songwriter, but he did some videos with Jared Dines a while ago. But anyways, he kind of rebranded his channel to be like to push like music, like he wants to sign people and do all this, and I just so happened to like subscribe to him after he did that, and he released a video, one of Bill Murray's songs, and I don't know, I watched it and I was like, this is weird but so good. It's like, it's okay, this time it's actually like edgy pop music. Like it's pop, but like he definitely has his like core influences, but it's not like rock. Like he uses it in a nice like little sprinkle on top of the song.
Texture.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's good. I've been listening to him since 2019 when he released his album Wet Milk. So yeah, he's a funny guy. He was actually, if you've heard of the band Attack,
Yeah.
they were one
Never
of those
listened
like
to him, but
no, yeah, no, they were one of those bands that everyone hated seeing people for because it was long black hair. They were squatting with their balls touching the ground, and they were, doing that
oh, right.
like your basic,
Typical
like
breakdown
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Breakdown core.
yeah, and they they also had like electronic sections in their songs, and like their vocals were just auto-tuned to hell. Like
Oh God.
it was very cringy to watch. But he was actually the guitar player for that band when he was like, I don't know, 19 or whatever. And but now he does that. So
That's
yeah,
kinda
that's my
cool.
second album. It's pretty good.
It's definitely different. That makes me think of like the what was that band that they were all that one guy from The Simpsons. The church guy from The Simpsons. I can't remember his name. Mustache and glasses.
I don't.
It's basically the blank his name plural, and they all kind of dress like him, and it's pretty.
Oh
funny.
yeah.
It's slipping my mind right now. I can't
Yeah, it's
quite
like
think of it.
Ted. Isn't it Ted something? No, it's Nate.
The Ned
Yeah, Ned Flanders. I
Flanders.
think.
Yes. Yes.
Flanderson or something like
Yeah,
that.
Ned Flanders or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, whatever. That's kind of gimmicky. Because
Yeah,
Bill Murray. I mean,
I remember YouTube recommended that to me like 3 or 4 years ago, and like I was like, "What the frick is this?" And I clicked on it. It was like some random hardcore like. I was like, "What is this?"
yeah, it was pretty good.
I was like, "They are literally only good for
The gimmick.
like maybe 2 videos."
Yeah, it's kind of like Mac Sabbath. You ever see
Yeah.
that?
Yep. About like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Someone showed me a band where it's like a metal band, but the vocalist talks like he's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I want to look that up. That sounds fucking hilarious.
And the way he writes his lyrics is he like bases them off of like famous Arnold Schwarzenegger lines.
Get to the chopper. I'll be back. Oh, that's fucking.
It's a trip.
Oh my. Welcome to California. All call outs before a breakdown. That's fucking hilarious.
Nothing but call outs.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Put the cookie down.
Doosh. Dudum. Dudum.
Dun.
That's super slow. Just pause. Then China. Just a super. Not even halftime. It's like
I love when
halftime.
I like when the breakdowns. What they do is they'll put a bunch of reverb on the snare, but they'll flip the track
Oh my
and then
God.
put the reverb on and then flip it back.
Yeah.
So then before it hits, it's like.
I've done. I just before I get to my next one, like I've done shit like that with covers or original stuff. Is like I've taken cymbal hits and reversed them for like build ups, and I've done it with like guitar sounds where I've reversed the audio, added reverb, then flipped it back to give it like a weird. It's mostly for build ups and texture and shit. But
Yeah.
But it works. It's fun to do.
Mhm.
But my next one is a band called Ghost Ship Octavius, and
Ooh.
they are something else, and they are really good. The album that I'm talking about, I believe, is self-titled, and they were formed in like 2013 or something like that. If you haven't heard of them, you need to look them up, and they're really good.
Like, what would you classify them under?
It's like progressive melodic metal.
Okay.
But the guy's got a very, like, his voice can go very low. It's hard to explain until you hear it, because he doesn't use it to the extent that he should, like typo negative. You know, it's just really low, but he can go really low, and he adds it as like a harmony or like a little backing thing behind the main vocal. But it's really, really, really good stuff. If you get a chance to look him up, look it up. Ghost Ship Octavius, and just a self-titled album. If you want to listen to a good song, listen to a song called Alive. That's off that album. And then there's another album that came out. I don't remember the name of it. I think it's their second album. But there's a song called, I think it's Frozen or something like that. You're Frozen. A really, really, really good, really, really good song. I was jamming that out for so long, trying to sing it, and like, it's really good. That first Ghost Ship Octavius album, I believe it's self-titled. It's got like a ghost pirate ship on the front. It's really, really good. Like most of the way through. I think it was like you said earlier, like one song I'm kind of on, but like, it's really good, really good shit.
Oh, they're a very underground band as well.
Yeah, they're really, really good. Really good.
I'll have to follow them so I can listen to them later.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you won't regret it. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, if it's anything like when I discovered progressive music for the first time back when we started messing around.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have heard of Dream Theater, but I mean, you kind of were like, well, I mean, you gotta like listen to Dream Theater.
I was that guy.
I think I remember one of the first, well, other than like Dance of Eternity or Pull Me Under, like one of the first songs I remember really getting into, you showed me, because you were like, oh dude, just wait for this part, it's nice and spooky. And it was Sacrifice Sons when he
boo-doo-doo.
Yeah, when he's like he kind of like mimics a theremin. He's like, ooh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, cuz then it modulates forever.
Yeah.
Like it's really great.
But then that whole like middle instrumental section is perfect.
Oh, it's Dream Theater. I mean, you can't really. That's like the cliche thing now. Is like, yeah, I'm into progressive music. I love Dream Theater. It's like, okay, dude, everybody and their brother does. But it's like, you just can't. It doesn't take away from how good they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially some of the fills Mike Portnoy does at the end, when it's like the orchestra's playing and it's like right before they do the offbeat section where it's like dun 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 dun. Teach them what to. But yeah, great stuff. That Octavarium album's pretty good too.
I've been listening to that quite a bit, but Dream Theater's always on my like play all the time list.
Yeah. If I listen to any album, it's probably Black Clouds and Silver Lining. That
and then Train of Thought for me. They're really
Train of Thought's a good one.
Really good album. That's when they got really heavy. It was like that Metallica Black Album kind of vibe.
Yeah. As I am.
Oh, fucking C standard. Gotta love it.
Dude, that no, it's Honor Thy Father, the beginning of that song.
Bum 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 bum.
The drum fill he does in the beginning of that. That's stupid. It's literally like 8 measures long.
It's Dream Theater. They can do whatever the hell they want. Yeah, but before you do your next one, I was just gonna say, Ghost Ship Octavius. They're not so in your face with how progressive they are. You won't really notice. It's not like, oh, that's in 7. It's not.
Is it more like a music theory type progressive?
Well, they have weird stuff in it, but it's not in your face. It's just like something. Unless you're a musician and you know what's going on, you're not really gonna notice.
Okay.
That kind of thing. Like it's not Dream Theater where it's like like just the crazy. It's very under the radar.
All right, so this next album pick I've got just literally started last week. I've been getting back into it. Um, it would be the Countdown to Extinction album from Megadeth.
Megadeth.
Um, I don't know, dude. There's just something about hearing like Psychonaut and just This Was My Life. Like it's just like peak. Like it wasn't really thrash metal in that album, but
No.
it was like peak heavy metal for me.
It
Like
was
that's like
it was their Black album.
yeah, that's like the like other than maybe Judas Priest, that's like the pinnacle of my like classic metal.
Foreshadowing. Um, but oh, Megadeth.
And it just shows you how like heavy you can be writing an E standard.
Oh yeah. Oh, just wait till I give you my last one. Yeah, the fun fact, the first guitar cover video that I ever made for the YouTube channel that we had was of This Was My Life.
It's actually still on my YouTube
Is
channel.
it?
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the first, yeah, fun fact. We used to
You
play
were-
that though, didn't we? We
Yep.
used to practice
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm. Dun, 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 dun.
I just got a text from my uncle. You up, buddy? I got a computer question.
I swear, you like. It's always like every time. Okay, so when you got a family, right? And they'll see you like make a video on YouTube, or you know how to use computer applications, and you go over someone's house and you fix one problem that should be very simple, and they're just like, "Oh, you're good with computers, right?" You're just like, I mean, like I can figure it out, maybe.
I'm not gonna take away from the skill that it takes to make videos and shit like that, but like people our age are pretty tech savvy, so
Yeah.
you could throw a rock and hit somebody who's good with computers. So it's it's not hard to come by anymore unless you're older.
Yeah. It's
So.
just funny to see like how because they didn't grow up with it, like stuff that's like should be very like common sense to us when it comes to computer knowledge.
Yeah.
They're like what?
Right. Yeah, it's I get come to a lot for computer questions, or
Yeah.
my dad,
You
'cause-
get come to a lot, huh?
yeah, I probably do. I'm lucky I'm not on WikiFeet yet, which I'm
Especially
sure
with,
I'm sure if
especially
somebody
with-
really wanted to, they could put me on there because I know I have my feet in videos. So
Well, I mean, someone already put your ass on Tinder.
I know. Like I guess we're gonna talk about that now. That was the. Obviously, you guys aren't gonna know. Listeners, you're not gonna know. This was one of the scariest and weirdest things that has ever happened to me in my life because it worried me about who it was. It worried me about what other people would think, and it worried me about like what my girlfriend would think. And basically, Daniel sent me a Snapchat randomly and was like something like, "Dude."
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through Tinder, and actually, no. It was Grace who was scrolling through Tinder because she sees men. She was scrolling through Tinder, and she was like, "This is either Virgil's doppelganger or this is Virgil." And I was like, in my head, I was just like, "Oh, it's probably just some guy that looks like him." And she sends me the screenshots, and I'm just like, "No, that's Virgil." But it was under the name David.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And there was no bio or anything. It just had David, and then it said you were like 25 or something. It didn't have the age right, but I was like, what the heck? So I was like, I got to send this to Virgil because, I mean, that's...
Which
I
thank
don't
you
know,
for
you can-
doing anyway.
Yeah, you can go ahead and take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you did, and you didn't sit there and go, "Oh, well, if he's going behind Kaylee's back, I'm not going to be the one to say anything. Like,
No, I knew that was not the case.
so like, so he sent me these screenshots. I think it was you sent those first, and you're like, somebody's definitely using your pictures on Tinder. And I was like, what the fuck? And at first I was like, okay, Daniel, haha, really funny. Like, this is a joke, right? Like, you're like, no, I'm for real. I'm serious. And I was like, what the fuck? And like, they weren't even, like, whoever did it was smart enough to use my photos, but not smart enough to crop them before they put them up on the profile, because you could very obviously see that they had taken a screenshot of my photos off of Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's what it was, because it was just like poorly cropped. Like, you could see like the underneath the photo, it said like the number of likes and comments and shit, but it was like half cut off, like from Instagram.
The funny thing is, I was like, all right, I know this isn't Virgil because he would never use those pictures.
I wouldn't use. I could not. If I was single, I could not do the dating app thing. I'm not confident with myself enough to do that. Like, that's just not something I would ever be able to do. It's very hard for me to even post pictures of myself on the social media that I have.
I mean, like, when I like signed up for it, they were like, all right, post pictures of yourself. And I looked through my phone. I was like, dude, I don't have any pictures of myself. I just am not the type of person to just be like, I look good today. Someone take a picture of me.
The last like actual photo that I was like, I look okay in was something I posted on Instagram recently, because I took a picture. It was during golden hour. You know what that is?
No.
Every day there's 2 golden hours. The first hour that the sun comes up, and then the last hour that the sun goes down. It's like, if you want it really majestic looking pictures or videos and stuff, that's when you want to do it. It's very very forgiving on your face, and it just makes you look really good. And so like, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see like this picture of me. It's like really warm. It's like sunlight, and there's like a sunbeam coming through. It's like a side profile picture. And I was like, you know what? Like, you know, my beard looks rough, but like, I'm not going to get that picture again. So like, okay, I'll post it. And it's very hard for me to do that. Otherwise, it's just like clips of videos that I've made, or just like really pictures of my dog or whatever. I don't post pictures of myself very often. I don't have that self-confidence for a lot of reasons, but regardless, like, it freaked me out, because I was like, who the fuck would even do that? Like, it's got to be either a really weird coincidence that somebody found my pictures and was like, yeah, no, he's hot enough to use, or it was somebody that I know somehow, or they know me somehow. Yeah. But then I also thought later on, like, you know what? I used to have my personal Instagram as a link under my videos early on, before I made one for the channel. So like, I was like, oh, people probably could have found me through there, like, because the last 6 months or so, I've had a couple people that are just like straight up haters, that are like, they go out of their way to make sure that whenever I post something to go on there, this is not funny, this sucks, you suck, you jackass, like stupid shit like that. Just like, they make the effort on every video to say something. It doesn't bother me. I think it's funny, but I have had those people, and I'm like, you know, whatever. But the whole issue with the Tinder thing got resolved anyway, because I reversed screwed them by making a fake account, and with a very fake like picture, and be it like, I know you're like, oh, you made a fake profile. I'm like, yeah, but it was to get rid of the one that was trying to basically catfish with my pictures. And
he only liked the catfish.
But as soon as I got everything, I deleted the fake account. So like, I was like, you know, I didn't know what to do. I had to call my sister, because she had used Tinder before, like, and I was asking you questions about how it works, and like how I'd be able to message the person, and how I'd be able to like, hey, fuck off, these are my pictures, like, can you not? And you know, or if it was like a bot or whatever. And it took like a day or two, and they matched with me, whoever it was. I still don't know who did it, but they matched with me, and I was like, motherfucker. And so I messaged them. I had a pre-written paragraph that I had saved in my phone, and sent it to him. And it was basically like, those are my pictures. If you don't want me to get like authorities involved, which I was kind of bluffing with anyway, because there's nothing they could do. But don't just delete the pictures. Delete your account, because I don't want you to go to be like, okay, I'll delete your pictures and then go use somebody else's pictures and do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like their whole response to this long paragraph thing that I sent was, "Bro, chill." I cannot make that shit up. It was, "Bro, chill." And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And I didn't type anything else except delete the account. "Bro, chill." Delete the account. Chill. Delete the account. Like, I just kept typing over and over and over and over, and then they said, "I." And not the way that like I will text "ite" to like you or some of my other friends, because I'll spell it IGHT, "ite."
Yeah.
They wrote it as "ait," AIGHT, "ite." Yeah. And then it was gone. Like I had the messages thing there. At first the picture, like the little bubble at the top of the chat disappeared, and then the account, it kicked me out of the messages, and it was gone. So either they blocked me, which I don't know if that's something you can do, or either they blocked me or they deleted the account. I'm just guessing that they deleted it. I don't think they blocked and did that whole thing, but we'll find out. I know people. I've let people know, so people that are on Tinder, they'll definitely know. Like, if they see me on there, it's like, it's not me, so people will let me know. But yeah, it was scary. Kaylee, like, I told her as soon as you told me, so I was like, listen, I was like, you're not gonna believe this. I like had her call me, and I was like, I told her what was going on, and she was like,
yeah, what did she say?
I told her right away, because I didn't want her to think that somehow it was like an account, and then I got found out. So I was like, listen, like, this is like, I had to explain to her like what was going on, and I don't think she ever would have been like, yeah, you're going behind my back or anything. She was like trying to figure out what to do, and it was a scramble just to kind of figure out what to do, because what do you do when that sort of thing happens? You can't really call the cops. It doesn't work like that.
Well, because it's like, I mean, like, obviously he can get to your pictures, so like you were saying, like, does he know anything else about you, or like?
Well, Kaylee was also telling me, she's like, she's like, I know your Instagram account is like public, so anybody can go on your profile. And I'm like, yeah, like, because I know there's people that have their accounts set to private, where like you have to add them as a friend or follow each other or whatever before you can see the pictures. I've never been that person. Like, at Facebook, MySpace, any shit that's ever been able to do that, I've just never done it. Like, I don't think I post shit that, like, I'm starting to lean more towards just promoting my personal Instagram as my main Instagram and just getting rid of the channel one, because it just performs like shit. And I'll just keep my main one anyway, because people will like a personality before like a company kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So as I changed my name on Instagram from my full name to Virgil Metal Guitar, just for that reason, so I didn't have my last name on there and stuff. But yeah, she was just like, you just got to be careful, because blah, 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 blah. She believed me, and it was fine. And she was like, just keep me in the loop on what's going on, and I did, and we got it figured out. So it's crossed fingers. It's done. It's figured out.
It's just weird. It's like, well, you never think that someone will just randomly take your pictures, and like, it just seems like such a weird, like,
either there's only a couple options or possibilities that I could think would be it. Either there's somebody that's like been obsessed with me, which there have not, humble brag, there's been people that have been obsessed with me before, and like people from school, and that are just like salty about me being with Kaylee, because we've been together since like junior year of high school, and there's salty people, jealous people, that whole fucking thing. And so it could be someone who's like spiteful, and they're like, I'm gonna fucking do this so that she finds out and she dumps him, and then I can swoop in, like that kind of thing, which again would never happen. Or it's somebody who randomly found my picture somehow and we're like, okay, yeah, I'll use his stuff. Or it was somebody from YouTube, that YouTube world, that was a hater, went back, found the account, did the screenshot stuff, and did it to be a troll.
Yeah.
Because if you're that quick to just be like, okay, all right, I'll delete it or whatever, it's you gotta. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to get in the mind of that kind of person, but
yeah. It's probably the second one. Like, he probably just randomly stumbled upon you.
yeah.
Which is even scarier or weird to think about.
Well, I'm sure if you search like attractive white guy with glasses, I'm not the first person to come up, so I don't know how.
Yeah, right.
You know, I don't know how that would come to be, but
I think today my personality will be a YouTube metal artist.
right. Of all fucking people, like this sub 1,000 subscriber metalhead, you know, like whatever. I don't know. I think it was the whole thing was stupid. But
Yeah.
did you give did you give your third album, or did
yeah, it was Countdown to Extinction.
that was your third one? Okay.
Yep.
So my third one is a band called Icarus Witch. And it's an album called Goodbye Cruel World. Now, this is kind of in the same vein as Ghost Ship Octavius, but in a different way. They're not really progressive, but they're like melodic metal. And they're
What's the name?
Icarus, Icarus, Witch. You know, like Icarus, the guy with the wings that flew up too close to the sun.
Yeah.
And then Witch, Icarus Witch. And the album is Goodbye Cruel World. It is so good because I've been on a niche of a binge myself of trying to write more melodic pieces of music, because I find I get too much into just the chug chugs, and I'm trying to find stuff that's more melodic and trying to get inspiration. And I've known about these guys for a long time, but I've just been on repeat this album. It's so good. They're so good. And they responded to some of my comments on Facebook one time. But no, they're really good. If I could ever get them on here, or anybody on any of these lists, it'd be great. Especially the top two that I have. But it's a really, if you want to listen to some really good like melodic heavy metal, Icarus Witch, Goodbye Cruel World is a good album all the way through.
Like from the pictures, I mean, it looks like one dude's at least pushing 50, and then some guy looks like he's in his mid-20s.
I can't recall exactly what they look like. I know what the singer looks like from a video, but that's about it. But I think they're kind of somewhat underground too, but they're really good.
I mean, yeah, they got 5,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Yeah, they're just, if you want good kind of like Nordic sounding melodic metal that talks about that whole kind of thing, like witches and witchcraft and that kind of shit. It's that kind of metal. It's really good.
Gotcha.
It's really good. What's
are they like? I was gonna ask real quick. Are they like, as a singer, like, is he a singer, or does he kind of have like a harsh vocal?
No,
to him?
he's the kind of. I think that my voice aligns with like his range and the way that he sings. So he's obviously better than I am, but if you think about the way that I do it, that's kind of how he does it.
Okay.
It's like
so
he's
it's like
singer.
a little grit to it.
He can get grit in there if he wants to, but he's like it's like Judas Priest kind of vocals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the high like kind of shit, but it's like that powerful like vibrato, like powerful vocal stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good harmonies and stuff too. Just really good.
Yeah, they've been out since like 2005 too, it looks like.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. Like, they're really good. Really good. So you should check them out when you get the chance.
I'll definitely follow them.
So
all right, well, my fourth album would be a band that I've been listening to for a couple years now called Capstan.
How's that spelled?
CAP and then Stan. Just
Capstan.
Capstan.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like
Interesting.
it's a part of a ship. I forget what part, but anyways, I found them on their album Nothing. What's it called? Oh, Restless Heart Keep Running.
So,
And they're like,
no, go ahead.
but the album that I was gonna put on my list, I don't know if it's because it's an EP with all their singles they threw out, so I don't know if like the full album is gonna come out, but so far this EP is what I've been listening to. It's just called Blurred Around the Edges. They're like a very, if like, it's like hardcore mixed with like progressive, like our newer school progressive, like a, like a Periphery type thing. But like, at least on this EP, they've gotten a little more like radio friendly because I think they're trying to branch out their audience or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, they're just like such a tight band, and they can do like
Are they-
a lot of cool things.
Are
Yeah, go
they
ahead.
are they tight, like, because they play tight, or are they tight
Yeah, they're
because?
all.
But do they get corrected in the studio? You know what I mean? Like, are they time corrected
well,
or?
Yeah, usually when I find bands to go on YouTube and look up live concerts, and granted, you can't really get like the full experience,
Yeah.
but like I like to at least hear if like they can keep it together and like sound good. And
Uh-huh.
they're, from what I've seen, like they're all like really good, and
Oh, that's
they're
good.
very like interlocked with each other. Their vocalist, he can pretty much sing exactly like he sounds on the album, which
That's
I
good.
love when they can do that.
Oh yeah,
But
that's always
they're
great.
uh their lyrics are kind of like, so like the instrumental is like more, like I said, like a pop metal kind of mix, but like the lyrics are kind of like a emo type thing. At like, I hate myself, slit my wrist,
Oh
but
my
like
God. You just offended a very certain specific group of people.
all the scene kids from
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just like every single song they come out with just not necessarily gets better, but it's different from their previous work, which is something that I really like in bands. It's one thing to have a good sound and keep recycling it, which I guess is fine if you're AC/DC, but
Masters of recycling.
yeah, but like just GAD.
Maybe an E in there.
But yeah, I don't know. They're really good. Check them out.
What are they called again?
Preferably that.
Capstan?
Yeah, preferably the album Keep Running, or no. Can't even remember what it's called.
Something
Restless
about running.
Heart Keep Running.
Right.
Yeah, Restless Heart Keep Running.
Oh, my pen is running out of ink. That's good. Cool. My second to last album, unless you had more to say about that one.
Nope, that was pretty much it.
And this is probably no surprise to you either, is Haken Virus. That last album they came out with, which very aptly named, is
I think I did listen through that album when you told me about it.
so good all
They
the way
definitely-
through.
It's like a new school like thrash sound. It's good.
I learned to play a couple. I know one song all the way through, and that's Prosthetic, because
Okay.
it's that last part. You know where it's got the breakdown. Yeah, it's so
That metric modulation they did at the end of the song was so good.
it's
so good.
so good, but and it's so fun to play. But then they have that what I would consider kind of like an epic. It's not one song, but they have this section of songs. I think it's like 5 songs on the album. It's called the Messiah Complex, right? And they're all part of like this overarching story thing. And they're shorter songs, but they all tie together.
So
Like-
it's not a concept album, but those songs tie together.
Yeah, those songs, if you look it up, like you can look up Haken Virus, the whole album, or you can look up Haken Messiah Complex, and there's a playlist with just those songs that tie together, because it'll say Messiah Complex Part 1, 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, and so you know they're kind of tied together, and they call back to each other and stuff, kind of like how Dream Theater does, or they'll call back to older songs with like a reprise and stuff, and it's it's just they're getting up there for me as one of my all-time favorite bands right now. And I know the whole world in terms of like guitar and metal these days is just all about being progressive and technical and shit, and people get obsessed with it, and I'm sure it's a very cliche thing to say that you like Haken. It's like saying that you like Dream Theater. It's like, well, yeah, but they're like Dream Theater but heavier. Like Dream Theater's like it's progressive metal, progressive rock. It's like in between rock and metal. They've gone heavy, but like I consider them more progressive rock, whereas like Periphery, Haken, bands like that are progressive metal because they're metal, chug 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 metal.
Well, the thing I like about Haken is like I said, it's almost like a thrashy sound, but the guitars sound more like Fear Factory, right?
Oh yeah.
Like they got that kind of sound to them, and they mix it so well with that Dream Theater type like
Progressiveness.
choruses and
Yeah.
it's hard to explain. Just look them up.
Yeah, you just have to listen to him. Haken, Haken Virus is the album, but it's obviously
definitely a top album of the year.
It's a different world, right? The whole idea behind being heavy is different than what it was 10 plus years ago, even 5 years ago. It's just different. But this album, just like the guitar tones are on point. His vocals, people complained about his vocals on it because they thought he didn't really give it his all or some shit. I thought they were great. Like all the harmonies and shit they did for it, just like the musicality of what they did in this album is just so good. And like they used 8 strings on it, and like some of the songs I learned are on the album are 8 string stuff that I'm learning on my 8 string. And they do some. There's like one song that's in drop E, right? And they've done that in albums prior, but they use the extended range of guitars in a way that doesn't make you go, oh, that's just like everybody else. They do it differently. And it's like, that's why I'm excited for this next Dream Theater album that's coming out, because John Petrucci has talked about he's using an 8 string on it. And there's a custom Ernie Ball 8 string that he had made for him that he's using on the album. And there's talks that it's going to be a production model eventually. So when Ernie Ball releases an 8 string, I'm definitely going to get one because they're going to do a great job. Like imagine a Majesty in an 8 string.
That's a lot of guitar, man.
That'd be the guitar.
The one and only.
It's just the album, and it came out with such an aptly named name, Virus. And it's just, I think that helped them to get obviously exposure with it, which was genius.
Nothing to do with the pandemic, but
I don't know if it was intentional or not, or if it was like a last minute, like, oh, we could also just call it Virus because it's got these things in it. It could be like a good marketing thing, regardless. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really good all the way through, and I can't get enough of it. It's such a good album, man.
That was your number 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now this is your last one.
All right. So this is a band that needs no introduction. They've been genting since before you and I were born.
Oh, great. Dang.
It is Meshuggah with their album Nothing.
Is that the one? Does it have Bleed on it?
No, that's from 2005. This album was in 2002. The opening track is Stanga, sets a perfect tone for the rest of the album, because I mean, th- it's like so the drummer Thomas Hike, he obviously is very well known for his song Bleed, um, because that is such a like marathon of a song. Not only like just music theory wise, but just endurance wise. You need to run a mile pretty much like every 30 seconds. But anyways, so this album was basically when they started. So when they first came out, they were like a weird like mix of like thrash but like super heavy. Like they were at least one of the first bands I know of that like really took the heavy like grunginess of the like 7 string guitars, and like instead of like using the 7 string as like a way to get to a lower note quicker, they like were like, all right, let's just use the low string as like how we make our songs. And this album was kind of like the turning point for them. They got like a lot heavier, and a lot, not necessarily, I guess like they weren't as like thrash as in like like they
Groovy.
stopped. Yeah, they stopped doing that and replaced it with like what you would call like groovy and like very like breakdown oriented. Not necessarily because there's really no breakdowns in it, any part of the album, because like it just goes from one hard hitting riff to the next hard hitting riff. And like anyways, so I was gonna say the drummer Thomas Hike, it's like he's like the finesse he has on the kit, dude. Like his left hand, like you know how people do ghost notes on the snare?
Yeah.
Like he's just one of those people who is just constantly doing ghost notes, and his left hand is just so fluid. Like he can play anything and find ghost notes in between it. And like you, like maybe a first listen you won't really notice it, but like when you really like just sit down and like realize he almost has to do the ghost notes to count
That's what I was
what
gonna
he's
say.
playing.
He probably does it to subdivide.
Yeah, and oh my god, like he's like playing a jazz song, but it's like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Like it's like heavy metal jazz drums almost, and you're just like, dude, like, and it like the patterns that they find or that they come up with, and I've told you about it before, but like, so obviously anyone out there who has taken a rudimentary music class, you know, like you got your 4/4 time signature, and then you got your odd time signatures. Well, Meshuggah plays in odd time signatures, but Thomas Hike almost always finds a way to have a constant 4/4 somewhere on the kit. And so like
That's what
you'll
makes it
be
groove.
yeah, and so like you'll be playing a pattern between your snare and kick in like 11/8, but you're keeping that like, you know, cymbal hit in 4/4, and like sometimes like the patterns will be like uh what do you call it? They'll be offset by like a 16th note or something. So like it's just some crazy thing, and it finally lines back up, and you're just like, how did you even make that work?
Well, that's
But they do it all the time. Like every single song, you're like, how am I gonna learn this?
I mean, that's the essence of groove, though, is you have to have something to relate the groove to. That's why like syncopation, being on the offbeat, is considered more groovy if you play on the offbeat a lot. But how do you know if you're on the offbeat if you don't have an onbeat to hear to know where you are? You know what I mean? It's like, how do you know what light is if you don't have dark?
Well, that's the thing too. Like the some of the patterns that they'll play, like when they like through the first bar, it'll be like on the downbeat, and then once it repeats, it won't repeat on a downbeat. So now you're playing it at some other time in the bar, and like sometimes you think like the groove is like right there, but actually the groove is felt in a triplet feel, and
Yeah.
like you know what I mean. So it's like what you hear, they're actually counting a different way, and you almost have to like you just have to look up the album. I know you're not kind of into like the gentiness per se, but like that album I like highly suggest, because like just learning Meshuggah like in this last year on drums, it's literally like made me such a better like drummer.
Oh yeah,
It's
they're technically, not like technically with air quotes, but like technically, they are really good at their instruments. That goes without saying, and it takes a lot of skill and stamina to play their stuff. Like I wonder if they've ever taken somebody who can. They should take the drummer, hook him up to machines, and have him play through bleed, and see how many calories he burns.
Yeah, right.
From
Well,
playing
I'll
bleed.
tell you this right now. I had to learn that song. I would put that song in my DAW, and I would slow it down like 20 BPM, even 30 when I first learned it. And I just literally sat there for 2, 3 months learning it at like 85, 90% speed. And then when I sped it up full speed, I was just like it's insane just that 10%, like how much more dexterity you need in your feet. Like even still to this day when I play it, cuz I'll almost always play it just to keep it ingrained, because it's just one of those songs that I want people to know, like, yeah, I can play that song. Like that was something I sat down and forced myself to do. and and man, like it's still like literally will just give me the worst like shin splints, I swear to God.
No, what I was gonna say in reference to what we were talking about earlier with how you're saying how the drummer plays. What is metal if not cocaine-driven jazz? You know,
Dude, honestly.
Uh,
Well, I was gonna say too, real quick, if like if you want to check them out, something more your speed would either be their album Future Breed Machine, which
Okay.
is definitely very thrashy, um, or their album Chaosphere, which
Okay.
is still kind of thrashy, but they were getting more like groovy. Just
Okay.
any of their albums in the 90s or 2002.
I have to look. I'll listen to them more because that's like I
Because
kind
their
of
new
have to.
stuff is very bleh, like nothing stands out.
Right.
After their album with Bleed, like other than the song Clockworks, which is probably one of the hardest metal songs I've ever seen someone play. um, I mean, if you're talking purely like technicality, um, if it's like the hardest song to ever play, it's probably some crazy fast death metal song. Who knows? But
Blast beats brrr, all the way through.
yeah, 310,
Yeah,
310
yeah.
BPM.
Oh my god. I
Some
hope.
Rings of Saturn song,
Jesus
probably.
Christ.
Actually,
They use 9 strings, don't they?
I think so. Lucas Mann, the guitar player.
I was gonna say
He's
early.
pretty cool.
Fear Factory does.
Yeah.
They started
They
getting into
also-
that stuff. They
Yeah,
didn't used
they
to.
were. I didn't really. I like Fear Factory instrumental wise, but the vocalist sometimes just does not hit the mark for me.
Yeah, they're part of that like. It was Fear Factory, Accept, and like. Freak Kitchen. And all these like weird.
I've never heard of them.
Oh, if you look up Freak Kitchen, they're they're kind of progressive, and they were into the whole like 7/8 string and 9 string now, I think, a little bit kind of old school in that extended range guitar stuff before gent became a thing.
Mhm.
But that weird style of metal stuff. But I can give my last one here so we can get kind of wrapped up. I'm sure you got.
Yeah, last point real quick with that Meshuggah, they just like, I guess the reason I'm so into them is like, obviously I've been getting into for years now, I've been into the like metalcore, deathcore sounding stuff, and like when I went back and listened to Meshuggah, I like realized like, oh, like they literally started doing that guitar sound with like the breakdowns in 1994 with their first with their first EP. Like they have this song called, I think I sent it to you, Humiliative.
Yeah, they were trying to
Like-
have me learn.
Yeah, the beginning of that song is literally a breakdown that you would hear like nowadays. And I was just like, okay, yeah, they definitely are ahead of their time.
Yeah,
But anyways,
there's always the forefathers of genres. Meshuggah's
Mhm.
like one of the forefathers of gent. It's just like
yeah.
one of those things. But
Yep.
my last and final album, so we can get this whole thing kind of wrapped up here, is these guys need no introduction to kind of reference what you said. They're one of the forefathers of metal back in the day. They've been around since forever, early days of metal. One of the biggest metal bands out there, Judas Priest. And their last album that came out a couple years ago, called Firepower. Holy shit. Judas Priest put out probably one of their best albums with Firepower. It is solid all the way through. It's heavy. For Judas Priest, it's heavy. And like they hit a gold mine with that album. So many good riffs,
They got
great
a new
songs.
Bag, huh?
It blew me away, dude. Like, it's so good all the way through. If any of these albums that I've told you about that you're gonna listen to, it should be Judas Priest Firepower. Like,
It looks like they got a. Did they like redo? You Got Another Thing Coming?
they might have. I don't know. They could have done like
Oh,
a.
never mind. Different album.
But no, it's like I'm pretty sure it's like an orange looking album.
Yeah, I was on their Spotify and
Oh, yeah.
they have like 2 albums with like very similar album covers, but they're like 30 years apart.
Firepower. It's so fucking good, dude. And it's
I'm about to
pretty
listen to
sure
it after we
sure it's an E standard. Like, I don't think they got into the whole 7-string shit or anything beyond. Maybe D standard if anything, but like, it's of all the ones I've given you today, Judas Priest Firepower is the one you need to listen to all the way through. Don't like go listen to a couple songs and come back to it 2 months from now. Listen to the entire thing, because it's like Megadeth's Rust in Peace. Like, it's just good all the way through.
I will suggest the same with that Meshuggah album I told you to.
Which one's what's
I'll give you Future Breed Machine. Actually, no. Chaos Fear. That one's like Future Breed Machine kind of drags on a little long.
Chaos Fear. I got Capstan, the running one, and Meshuggah, Chaos Fear written down for the ones to check out. But Jesus
I
Christ.
got it liked right now. So literally, I'm not kidding you. After we end this, I'm going to listen to that album,
dude.
because you have hyped it up, and now my expectations are high.
It's not gonna. You're not gonna be disappointed. Keep your good headphones on for it and everything. Crank it up, dude. I'm blasting that shit in my car, just driving around town. I like pull up next to people and I look over. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And they got some kind of hip hop rap or something playing. It's just like, and then like it's so good, dude. It's and the last thing too, like, Rob Halford, I've seen videos of him lately because he's older. He's been doing the high pitched scream stuff for a long time, especially with Painkiller.
Yeah.
His voice, I've seen him like try to hit notes and miss it on stage, and he goes, eh. He'll like go to the audience and go, meh. I kind of hit it. He's self-aware, but dude, his performance on it is fucking ace.
Yeah, I mean, when he does his higher pitch singing, like, I mean, anyone out there who has seen live video of him since like 2015, he will just sit there, bend over, and go, "Thanks, a bullet."
Yeah.
You like cannot move.
Well, that's. I mean, I'm
all
sure
of his
that's
energy into it.
so hard to repeat Painkiller. That's probably that's so high, dude.
Well, not only that, I mean, their drummer is pretty. He's a pretty good drummer. I can't even remember his name, but he was in Planet X.
Yep. Hey,
Racer X. I mean,
I was gonna say Planet X. There's a Virgil that was in Planet X.
Yeah.
I think he was a
Planet
drummer.
X is Virgil.
Yeah, that was the drummer for
Yeah.
Planet X. It was
Yeah.
Virgil something.
Yeah. He plays traditional grip. Virgil, something Lonnie, something like that.
He plays traditional,
Yeah, he plays
French.
traditional grip.
French
Yeah.
style. Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That'd be hard.
He's like one of the only. Actually, I was gonna say he's one of the only heavy metal drummers I know that does that. But the drummer for Capstan also does that.
Oh,
too.
okay. That's got to be limiting a little bit, isn't it?
It only. I guess only if you let it be limiting, because
Because match grip, you can do whatever. But like traditional, it's like, I'm sure it's great for the snare if you're doing some crazy snare shit, maybe some toms. But like everything else, like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's probably. I mean, it definitely would be different. Like as someone who's been using match grip their whole life, going traditional on a kit would not be the move. So,
yeah. But yeah,
props to anyone who uses traditional grip because I just cannot.
Yeah, it's like the same. I'm sure it's like the same, with guitars where you sit normally like if I'm playing something that's not a V, like I'll sit it on my right thigh to play like normal, but also you got the classical position.
Classical guitar.
It's probably one of those kind of things. But
Yep.
All right, well, thanks for coming on. This was good conversation. We don't talk much like this kind of text and stuff, but if you got anything like that you want to promote or anything like the YouTube channel or anything that you want, you don't have to, but this is your chance to just to the 5 people who are listening right now.
Yeah, right. It's anyone who likes seeing drum covers. I kind of took over our old YouTube channel. It's under, I think, Dannyboy Tru. I just got some drum covers on there recently.
That's True, TRU.
Yeah, no E. But yeah, I've been practicing a lot of Meshuggah. I just got this new laptop. I'm setting up all the software on it, so pretty soon here you're gonna be seeing a lot more drum covers.
And you're probably gonna be seeing him. We'll probably collaborate quite a lot once he starts getting into it. After I get moved and settled in and stuff, we'll probably start. You'll probably see a lot of shit from us coming out for those of you who want to pay attention. But all right, well, anything else or?
Thanks for having me on your podcast. Always enjoy talking music. I mean, I'm sure me and you could probably talk the rest of our life about music.
Oh yeah, we're those passionate people that everybody thinks is annoying because of our passion for music.
That no one hands the aux to at a party.
Yeah. Did you know this song's in 7? Wow. I'll just add it just because I said it before we cut off here. I was in the car with Kaylee the other day, and she was playing some song I don't know, and they did some really cool thing with the time. It was in like 12/8, and I didn't realize. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. This is." And she goes, "Nope, don't even." She's like, "I'm trying to enjoy the song." She's like, "Don't even." Like she cut me off before I could even say anything, and I just laughed my ass off.
That's the thing about people who aren't like very passionate or like very music theory oriented, because you're just like, I mean, yeah, you enjoy the song, but like you don't know why you enjoy the song. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they don't care though.
Yeah, that's true.
But we care.
I can feel like that.
All right. Well, yeah, like I said, thanks for coming on. I would definitely have you on again. We always have good conversations about music, but yeah, cool. Thanks. All right, everybody. Peace out. See you later. Follow his YouTube channel, Dannyboy Tru, to see some cool drum covers and stuff. And follow my stuff as always. Metal Brain Podcast, Instagram, Anchor, Spotify, all the fun places. Sinister Bunny Studios, my YouTube shit, all that fun stuff. Follow them all. And we'll see you next time.